Joe, before I get on out of here, I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves
Stephen A. Smith has never been one to mince words, and his recent commentary about the WNBA has sent shockwaves through the basketball world. What he's discussing isn't just another hot take or exaggerated prediction for ratings. It's a sobering assessment of an existential crisis brewing in women's professional basketball. The spotlight is on 2026, a year that's rapidly approaching and carrying with it the potential to either revolutionize the WNBA or trigger its most significant talent drain in history. At the center of this storm is Caitlin Clark, the generational talent who has single-handedly transformed the conversation around women's basketball. Her impact extends far beyond the stat sheet. She's filling arenas, driving television ratings to unprecedented heights, and generating merchandise sales that dwarf historical benchmarks. Yet, despite this enormous economic contribution, she operates under a rookie contract that pays her a fraction of what her market value suggests she's worth. Smith has been vocal about this disparity for months, arguing that the league's rigid salary structure is unsustainable when dealing with a player who possesses this level of star power. The 2026 timeline isn't arbitrary. It represents the expiration of the current collective bargaining agreement, which WNBA players have already opted out of. A decision that signals widespread dissatisfaction with existing compensation structures. This opt-out creates a window of opportunity, but also a window of vulnerability. By 2026, the league must present a new financial framework that adequately compensates its top performers or risk watching them explore alternatives that are becoming increasingly viable and lucrative. What makes Smith's warnings particularly compelling is his emphasis on strategic roster construction. The discussion around pairing Caitlin Clark with Sophie Cunningham isn't just about building a competitive team. It's about creating a sustainable model for retaining elite talent. Cunningham brings a different energy to the court. Physical defense, aggressive play, and an enforcer mentality that complements Clark's offensive brilliance. Together, they would represent not just basketball compatibility, but a marketing partnership that could drive significant commercial value. This duo concept speaks to a larger strategy that Smith believes the WNBA must embrace. It's not enough to pay one superstar appropriately. The league needs to construct environments where these players want to stay. That means surrounding them with complementary talent, creating competitive rosters, and building franchises that can compete for championships while maximizing commercial appeal. A Clark-Cunningham partnership would check multiple boxes: on-court success, compelling narrative storytelling, and diverse marketing angles that appeal to different fan demographics. But the WNBA isn't operating in a vacuum. And this is where Smith's warnings become most urgent. The PR competitive landscape for women's basketball talent has fundamentally changed. For decades, the WNBA represented essentially the only option for American players who wanted to compete professionally at the highest level domestically. That monopoly is crumbling. The unrivaled league represents the most immediate threat. This new 3-on-3 competition isn't positioning itself as a minor league or alternative. It's offering compensation packages that rival or exceed WNBA salaries. Reports suggest players are being offered equity stakes, giving them ownership percentages in the league itself. The season structure is compressed, meaning players can earn comparable money in a shorter time frame with less wear on their bodies. The league is based in Miami, eliminating the grueling travel schedule that WNBA players endure across a full season. These aren't minor advantages. They represent a fundamentally different value proposition. A player like Clark could potentially earn several times her WNBA salary while playing fewer games, maintaining ownership in a growing enterprise and avoiding the physical toll of a full professional season. For someone already generating millions in revenue, the financial logic of staying in the WNBA under current structures becomes difficult to justify. International opportunities add another layer of complexity. Overseas leagues, particularly those in Europe and Asia, have long offered lucrative contracts to American players during the WNBA off-season. But the landscape is evolving. There's increasing speculation about well-funded international leagues potentially backed by sovereign wealth funds from nations seeking to elevate their sports profiles that could offer contracts dwarfing anything available domestically. The prospect of Saudi-backed leagues or similar ventures might seem far-fetched, but the pattern is already established in other sports. Soccer has seen massive investments from Gulf states seeking to legitimize their sporting credentials. Formula One, golf, and boxing have all witnessed similar dynamics. Women's basketball, riding a wave of unprecedented popularity, presents an attractive opportunity for nations or organizations looking to make a statement investment in sports. Smith understands that in this environment, loyalty to the WNBA's shield won't be enough. Players, particularly those at the top of the market, have leverage they've never possessed before. They can credibly threaten to take their talents elsewhere because viable alternatives now exist. The question isn't whether these alternatives are appealing, it's whether the WNBA can match or exceed what they're offering. This brings us to what Smith calls the new plan, which represents the WNBA's potential path forward. Traditional salary increases, even substantial ones, might not be sufficient. The league needs to consider structural changes that give players direct stakes in the revenue they generate. This means equity arrangements, revenue-sharing models, and compensation tied to specific performance metrics. Jersey sales, ticket revenue, broadcast viewership, and merchandise. This is the Michael Jordan treatment that Smith references. Jordan didn't just receive a large salary. He earned percentages of shoe sales, merchandise, and other revenue streams directly connected to his personal brand. The WNBA may need to adopt similar models for its top-tier talent. If Clark is filling arenas and driving television viewership, why shouldn't she receive a direct percentage of those revenue increases? If her jersey is the top seller, shouldn't she benefit proportionally? Such arrangements would represent a radical departure from traditional team sports economics. Most professional leagues operate under salary cap structures designed to promote competitive balance by preventing wealthy teams from simply buying all the best players. But these systems were built for eras when leagues held monopolistic power over talent. When players have legitimate outside options, the calculus changes. The challenge is implementation. Revenue-sharing models require sophisticated tracking and accounting systems. They create potential conflicts between players on the same team earning vastly different percentages. They might incentivize individual performance over team success if not structured carefully. And they fundamentally alter the relationship between players and franchises, transforming athletes from employees into business partners. Despite these complications, Smith argues this evolution is necessary. The alternative is watching the WNBA's biggest stars walk away to leagues or arrangements that offer better terms. The short-term disruption of implementing new compensation models is preferable to the long-term devastation of losing the players who drive the league's commercial success. Internal dynamics present another significant challenge. Professional sports locker rooms are complex social environments where perceived fairness matters enormously. We've already seen evidence of tension surrounding Clark, hard fouls that seem excessive, comments from veteran players about media attention and hype, and subtle indicators of resentment about the spotlight focusing so intensely on one player. If the WNBA restructures its entire economic model to retain Clark and potentially other top stars, it confirms what some players already suspect, that the league operates with different sets of rules for different athletes.